On tonight's Wales at 6. Bracing for Storm Claudia. An amber weather warning for rain, with some places set to see a month's worth in just 24 hours.
Tonight, the number of flood warnings is rising. Join me live alongside the River Taff in Pontypridd as residents here prepare for the worst but hope for the best.
Also on the programme, plans to give young carers like Jet the support they've long needed. Plus, tomorrow's must-win clash with Japan has all eyes on Steve Tandy's Wales. And out on calmer waters, Hamish is with the windsurfers, making the sea a welcome place for all. Hello, good evening to you. Communities across large parts of South and West Wales are bracing themselves for the impact of bad weather as heavy rain continues to fall. Storm Claudia has brought with it an amber weather warning, which remains in place until midnight, with some schools closing early today in anticipation of poor driving conditions. One community that'll hope to avoid the worst is Pontypridd. The town was hit hard this time last year, with Storm Burton flooding some homes near the River Taff. Well, there for us this evening is our correspondent Hannah Thomas. Hannah, good evening to you. How are things there? What's the latest?
Yes, Katie, thank you very much indeed. Well, I am actually keeping a close eye on the river level here of the Taff, and when I see that rising, even I will be going into these houses and warning things are getting much worse. But at the moment, it stopped raining here and residents will be relieved because, as you remember, in Storm Dennis and Storm Bert a year ago, residents were badly affected. Now, as you say, that amber weather warning does go until midnight tonight, so we are actually only halfway through. And Mike Griffiths has been meeting people across Wales today who are getting ready for Claudia.
Preparing for a storm, but hoping to be spared. Cross Keys RFC know all too well the impact it can have. This was the scene last November after Storm Bert, leaving their treasured club underwater.
Well, we're trying our best and we put in sandbags down because...
Today, volunteers and club management were anxious about the hours ahead.
The last time he came like a bomb. Within 10 minutes, his club had gone. And all the water was actually running down into the houses down there. That had never, ever happened before. And the amount of water what came, it was just unbelievable. The mud what comes through is so deep and it takes so long to get out. You've got to sterilise everything. It's heartbreaking, heartbreaking. They've risen the freezers up and they're helping to put sandbags all around the club now. And without them type of people, the club just wouldn't survive. When you hear that rain and you have that forecast to say that it's going to rain all night, you just don't sleep. It's impossible because you're worried about the club. And if the club goes again, I don't know whether it'll be enough volunteers to put it back right because they worn out. We're actually worn out.
Down the valley in Risca, they too have bitter memories of a year ago.
Well, the storm last year flooded shops and businesses right along the high street here in Risca. And while at present they are thankfully just outside of the flood alert area, you can't blame people for taking precautions. They're putting down sandbags and they're determined to be vigilant.
Natural Resources Wales are encouraging people to stay up to date and check flood alerts and warnings near to them.
Be prepared, think about what a flood might mean to them. So instigate any sort of like flood plans they may have. But, if you haven't got a formal flood plan, then maybe think about sort of, what you would need in the event of a flood, and particularly if you are reliant on medication and those sorts of things. Perhaps think about moving vehicles to higher ground and sort of like valuables as well and property to higher ground.
Tonight, the Met Office's amber alert remains in place until midnight, with a yellow alert over a wider area. Communities across the country wait to see what Storm Claudia will bring. Mike Griffiths, ITV News.
Well, you saw those sandbags being piled high in Cross Keys there, and the sandbags this evening you can see piled high outside Sion Chapel on Sion Street. They'll be hoping that the Taff doesn't rise and breach those sandbags. Now, I've checked a minute ago with Natural Resources Wales, and at the moment there are 12 flood warnings in place and 27 flood alerts. They're concerned in particular about rivers such as the Monnow, the Wye and the Severn on those border areas. But of course they'll be concerned here with the River Taff. Usually when residents start to see that water level creep up and just come through these railings here, that is the time those floodgates are well and truly up and the sandbags are out in force. The fire service were out knocking doors, particularly on Clydach Terrace today. That was where they were concerned that those flood risks may take particular area this evening. So they've been looking at that, and they've actually set up a respite centre at Ynysybol Leisure Centre should that be needed later this evening. But Natural Resources Wales and all the authorities are paying particular attention to this. And remember, we do have another 6 hours of that weather warning to go. So they're saying, unless you absolutely have to, do not go out this evening.
OK, Hannah, looks like people are as prepared as they can be there. Thanks very much indeed. Well, Ruth is here now with more details, Ruth, and you did promise us a storm, and yes, Claudia is certainly delivering.
Well, the meteorological agencies will only name a storm if they deem it's going to be impactful enough. Now, Storm Claudia, of course, was named by the Spanish Met Office a couple of days ago and arrived with full effect here in the UK, here in Wales, earlier today. And if you take a little look at the radar sequence, you can see exactly how things have transpired out there. The blues and greens there, the echoes. The rain has just kept on coming. And as we've been hearing, there are still a number of weather warnings in force out there at the moment. Of particular concern is the orange area, the amber area, and this means to be prepared. Those warnings run until midnight tonight. The yellow general warning, as we heard, runs until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. So technically the worst is over, but we're not quite out of the woods just yet, and there is more wind and rain to come. Now, as we've been hearing, Natural Resources Wales are urging us to be vigilant. If you want to ring the floodline number, it's there on your screens, 0345 988 1188, and their website, again, the address on your screens, is constantly updated. And Katie, it is well worth keeping an eye on that. The worst hopefully over the next few hours, and I'll be back later in the programme with what we've got to look forward to over the coming weekend too.
Of course. Ruth, thanks very much. We'll see you later. A man has been arrested after an alleged fake Rear Admiral attended a Remembrance Sunday service in uniform. The man was pictured laying a wreath and saluting during a service held in Llandudno on Sunday. North Wales Police said the 64-year-old man has been arrested for offences relating to the unlawful use of military uniforms. Next tonight, more than 22,000 children and young adults help to care for a loved one in Wales. Now, the Welsh Government has made a commitment to provide more support for them to ensure they don't miss out on school, play or other key milestones. Megan Boots reports.
Yes, number 5, boom. Uh-oh, you're out, mate.
I'm Jet, I'm 15 and I'm from North Cardiff, and I care for my older brother who's got quadriplegic cerebral palsy. So some of the caring roles day to day include looking after the house, physically caring for him, getting him out of bed, and maybe cooking dinner or cleaning. It just depends day to day, really.
How would you describe being a young carer to our audience?
It's a way of life, really. It's just routine day to day. If I get up, I know I've got to go downstairs and look after my brother. If not, I don't just get up and sort of get straight onto my own things. It's always thinking about someone else first.
Of course, each young carer's circumstances are individual, but experts do see trends, and they see there needs to be recognition and support for young carers in terms of their well-being, their education, their employment, and now this agreement is set to try and improve things.
Okay.
Called the Young Carers Covenant, it covers 10 key areas to maintain the rights of young carers for full and balanced lives.
It also puts first and foremost that young carers are children and young people, and they have a right to access fun, to play and to access their education in any way that any other young person would do.
rights are one thing. What about action?
Well, action, absolutely. So I've got a ministerial advisory group for unpaid carers, and a couple of the unpaid carers who are here today sit on that advisory group. They advise me, they tell me what they think, you know, what is needed. We've extended the short break scheme and the carers support fund, you know, an extra £15.75 million over the next 3 years to help unpaid carers, and particularly young carers, to get a break from caring, and to get some financial support with some of the essentials that they need for themselves and for the people they're caring for.
Do you like Gavin? Do you like more ones? Get off ball. Question of sport. I think it's a really positive step forward. I mean, having the awareness and an official statement saying that young carers matter is really important, and it's just building blocks for what can happen in the future.
And in building that awareness, help more young people to realise that if they are caring, there is support out there.
Done.
Megan Boot, ITV News.
Cut.
OK, time now for the latest sports news.
Powering local sport in the community. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Cymru Wales Sports Report.
And to rugby, where Wales captain Dewi Lake says it's up to the players to give fans something to cheer about. His side haven't won in front of their own fans since before the last World Cup, and defeat tomorrow could have a significant impact on Wales' world rankings. Well, our sports reporter Matt Southcombe is here with all the details. Matt, not the best of starts last week. Fair to say this one's a must-win?
Yes, very much so, Katie. Now, after tomorrow's game, Wales face New Zealand and then the world champions South Africa. So if they are going to get a win this autumn, this game against Japan is their best chance. Stadium used to be a fortress. Teams would fear coming here, but now Wales haven't won a game in this stadium in over 2 years. Tomorrow's match against Japan is their best chance of the autumn of ending that 10-game losing streak on home soil.
Yes, it's our job to give the stadium energy, to give the people something to cheer about, as you said. And to be honest, we don't mind where we win. You know, we'd love to do it at home, in front of the home crowd, for the fans, for everybody who supported us through a difficult period. But it's just about getting back to that point where you kind of feel unbeatable, and any game you're in, you feel like you know by the end you can win.
Dewi Lake will captain the side after close friend Jack Morgan suffered a dislocated shoulder against Argentina.
You know, it's not a reason I'd like to be doing it at all. I'd much rather have Jack here with us, leading us out on the field, and I wish him nothing but the best for his recovery. And yeah, we're gutted for him.
Japan will pose a very different threat to Argentina, and Wales will have to be prepared for any tricks that former England head coach Eddie Jones might have up his sleeve.
Like, we're expecting a very quick game. 2 matches we had in the summer were both high speed, high intensity, lots of movement, ball movement, lots of little kicks in behind, picks on the ruck, stuff like that. So, we're not underestimating at all the contest that's coming tomorrow. They're a very proud nation, and they're going to come down here looking to get a result.
Japan might be looking for a result, but Wales desperately need one, because the consequences of a defeat this weekend are huge.
Come on then, Matt, what are those consequences?
Well, stick with me, Katie, because they are a little bit complicated, but they are very important. Now, Wales are currently 12th in the world rankings, and Japan sit in 13th in those world rankings. But if Wales lose to Japan tomorrow, then they will trade places with Eddie Jones's side, who will leapfrog them up to 12th in the world. Now, that is important because it has implications for the Rugby World Cup draw, which takes place on December the 3rd. Now, currently, Wales are in band 2 in that Rugby World Cup draw, but if they slip to 13th in the world, they will once again trade places with Japan, and they will end up in band 3. Now, that would make their pool at the 2027 World Cup in Australia significantly harder, because these pools, those pools in the World Cup, will be made up of teams, one from each of these bands. And these pots are made up of the world rankings. So band 1 over here are the top 6 teams in the world, 6 to 12 ranked teams in the world, and so on down the list. So if Wales are in band 2, then they'll face one team from the top 6 in the world, that's your Englands, New Zealands, etc. One team from band 3 and band 4, lower ranked sides. But if Wales end up in band 3 here, they will face one team from band 1, then they will also face a team from band 2, ranked 6 to 12th in the world, remember, and one from band 4. Now, if all that does sound a little bit complicated, I apologise, but the main thing to know is that it makes their group significantly harder. Now, beating Japan tomorrow may not even be enough to keep Wales in band 2, because if Japan go on to beat Georgia next week, they could still overtake Wales. If Wales do lose to Japan, they need a very unlikely win against the All Blacks or South Africa to salvage their situation. A win tomorrow is Wales's best hope of making sure they stay in band 2 for that Rugby World Cup draw. Did that make sense?
I think so, Matt. Yeah, well explained. Thanks very much. Big day tomorrow. But first, events to celebrate the life of actor Richard Burton, who would have been 100 this week, are continuing tonight with a special gala dinner in Margam. Locals are set to gather in the Orangery at the Margam Country Park to remember the Hollywood star's contribution to Welsh life. There for us tonight is Lewis Rhys-Jones, who's been chatting with those in attendance.
Noswaith, there's so many elements to Richard Burton's life, from his humble beginnings as a minor son in Pontrhydyfen to growing up here in Port Talbot, being taken under his teacher P.H. Burton's wing, and that took him on to stardom in Broadway and Hollywood, and so much more. But there's another star of Port Talbot with us tonight, Michael Sheen. Noswaith, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Well, he's a hero for many people here in Wales, but he's a hero of yours too, isn't he?
Well, yeah, I mean, growing up in Port Talbot, I keep saying that the first voice you hear is your mother's and the second one is Richard Burton's. So, you know, it's incredibly important, I think, to people to be able to see other people doing what you would like to do. You know, if you see someone out there doing stuff and you want to do it, then it gives you a lot of inspiration. So knowing that Richard Burton was out there, you know, he'd blazed the trail, it made it a lot easier for other people to come, you know, along that path. Not that they got as far as him, but you know, it makes it a lot easier. And so he's always been a big inspiration to me, and you know, and to many other people from this area. And we feel immensely proud of him. So to be able to celebrate him tonight is wonderful.
It's fantastic. Given that we're seeing cuts to the arts in Wales as well, it's incredible to see how somebody from such humble beginnings can go on and do whatever you want, as you've mentioned there. But could Wales see another Richard Burton, given that the challenges we are facing as well?
Well, I mean, I think what Richard Burton did was unique because it was a very different time, you know. I mean, when he and Elizabeth Taylor got married and caused all that, you know, sort of furore, there hadn't really been celebrities like that, a celebrity couple in that way. And the kind of career he had was, you know, was a very different kind of career to the sort of career that people can have now. So I think he is very unique. But I think in order for people to go on and have a very successful career in the arts, there needs to be support early on. You know, that's what I've realised in my life as time has gone on, how fortunate I was that I had the support that I did, both in terms of the youth theatre I was in, my school, my parents, my family. And I think you do need a lot of support. So that is the worrying thing. If that support goes, then the chances of anyone coming from areas like we come from here being able to go on and have success, maybe not the same success as Burton, but you know, to be successful in this profession, it gets greatly reduced.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of Burton, tonight is about him, and you're going to be doing a special performance as well.
Yeah, I'm going to read a bit from something that Richard Burton wrote himself, A Christmas Story. It's a beautiful story, you know, autobiographical, you know, of the moment of Christmas, and obviously showing the influence of Dylan Thomas on him. You know, you can hear echoes of A Child's Christmas in Wales in it, but it's very, very particular to Richard, and there are parts in it that are incredibly moving now to be able to read tonight. So I'm very excited about that.
I'm sure people are in for a treat. Well, thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr I ti am eich amser. Well, there you have it. You know, a lovely evening to mark an important centenary of a Welsh icon.
Lewis Stone's there, and there is more coverage on the Richard Burton commemorations in our weekly Substack newsletter. You can get it delivered straight to your inbox, and here is Andrea with how to sign up.
Just scan the QR code on your screen now where you can sign up on Substack. You only have to do it once, and after that we'll automatically email you our weekly newsletter where you can read more in-depth analysis and insight from our reporters into the biggest stories around Wales. It's completely free to sign up, and you can read it on your phone and tablet too. Just scan the QR code to sign up, or if you're already on Substack, search ITV Wales.
Well worth doing. And here is a look at what's coming up now on the ITV Evening News.
Coming up tonight, the government changes tack as the Chancellor reportedly ditches plans for an income tax rise. 12 days out from the budget, how will Rachel Reeves raise the money she needs to balance her books? Following an ITV News investigation, the Health Secretary vows to put a stop to do not resuscitate orders being given to learning disabled people without their consent. And new heights for this content creator's career as he scoops the top prize of the TikTok Awards. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Well, Ruth is back now, and it's been a busy day out there.
Phew, yes, it's probably the best way of putting it. And even though it's not over yet, the worst should be over in the coming hours. Rain, not a problem though when you're already wet, and the right sort of wind can make perfect conditions for windsurfing. Now, the sport is ever growing in popularity, and instructor Rue Johnson in Abersoch, who was born with a condition that affects his sight, wants to make the sport open and accessible to all. Here's Hamish Ascari.
Abersoch is a haven for beach lovers and water sports enthusiasts. But it's not all about powerboats and paddleboards, it's also about people. Living with sight loss, Rue Johnson, his wife Danny and their two boys, Finley and Oakland, run a family water sports business here. And to them, it's more than just a business. It's become a beacon for resilience, inclusion and community.
Yeah, so I was born with it, but it's a degenerative condition. So it's only got worse really in the last few years. So I've always had tunnel vision, but now it's sadly just deteriorating. But even just getting down to the water is hard work, especially with everyone loves to dig a hole at the beach. But yeah, once I'm on the boat, obviously I'd still need a bit of help with navigation. But once we've done that, I can still feel the wind and feel where I need to go. So people are always a bit shocked at how I can still do it, but I think because I've been doing it so long, it's just more of a natural instinct.
Inclusivity sails high here in Abersoch. From free beach wheelchair hire to adapting lessons for those with sight loss, Rue and Danny Johnson want to build a water sports business where everyone belongs.
We've had to just adapt as a family, as a business, and just put little things in place to try and help us navigate our way through, really. It's incredible what you can do without sight. You just need the support and the guidance, but you can achieve exactly the same thing.
And support and guidance is exactly what I'm going to need on the water, as it's my turn to have a go. Instructor Harrison Wyatt has agreed to give me my first lesson in windsurfing.
So look to me. Try and look up forwards, yeah? That's it, look up at me. Oh!
I'm probably spending more time in the water than on the windsurf. It's pretty exhausting, but great fun. I think the saying, practice makes perfect, is apt for me. I may need just a few more lessons. But what I've learned here today is that water sports can be for everyone with the right support.
I won't tell you how many outtakes there were on that one. Hamish reminding us that we do get blue skies here in Wales. More on that, of course, on Coast and Country tonight at 7 o'clock, right here on ITV1 Wales. And I can assure you it's the perfect evening for staying in and watching that, because frankly the weather out there is miserable, as we've been hearing throughout the programme. And just a reminder, even though the worst of the weather is over, things are still quite miserable out there at the moment. If you are concerned, there's the floodline number, a reminder there, and the Natural Resources Wales website that is updated every 15 minutes. Now then, having said that the worst of Storm Claudia will be over, it has done its worst and things are now starting to ease out there. And you can see this low pressure will be dim and distant memory by the time we get into the coming weekend. A change is on the way though. The storms will have gone, but we've got a cold front that will start to sink its way southwards as we head into Sunday and Monday. What does that mean? Well, possibly some wet weather, but it allows Arctic air to start to flood in. So over the next few days, you're going to notice the temperatures feeling much, much colder. Settled weather, frosty conditions by night, and dare I say it, we could see some snow next week over the hills, but a lot going on before we get there.
Today sees sunshine, sand and a spell of bamboo rafting. TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
So it is still pretty miserable out there at the moment. As it stands, the heavy rain working its way northwards, starting to clear a little bit from the far south as we head into the second part of the night. And it is going to be a gradually improving process. So the winds will drop back. We could see a little bit of thunder and possibly some hail for a time, but even this will disappear towards the early hours of the morning. Temperature-wise, chilly, but not quite as cold as it could be. We're looking at general lows of around 7 or 8. The cloud and the rain actually acting as a little bit of a blanket. And as the winds drop back, you could see the return of some rather dense patches of mist and fog in places. So I think wherever you are, it's going to be a very gloomy start to the coming weekend. Any weather warnings expiring, and really from the start of Saturday, things are going to feel, frankly, more settled. Now, there is the chance that we could see a little bit of rain again over the hills and mountains in the northeast, but generally for much of Wales, we're looking at a dry day. That low cloud mist and murk will stubbornly persist, though, with the best chance of seeing any breaks in the cloud and some decent spells of sunshine down across the south and the southwest. Less of a breeze, thankfully. Temperatures, though, are down a fraction or two on today's values, 11 or 12 at best. And if you're heading out and about through Saturday evening and into Sunday, calm and quiet. And Sunday is looking to be another pretty decent day. There's plenty of sunshine, largely fine and dry. But you'll notice the wind's starting to become slightly more easterly and already dragging in slightly fresher air, and the cloud will build as we head into Sunday afternoon. So as I've been saying, the trend as we head into next week is for those temperatures to feel much, much cooler, and the possibility of a little bit of snow too.
TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
Before we all get too excited, Katie, any snow will be over the hills and mountains, sort of where it belongs at this time of the year, so no disruption expected, thank goodness. But again, those weather warnings are forced for the next few hours.
OK, Ruth, thanks very much. And that's it. I'll be back with another update at news at 10, after news at 10. Bye-bye.